This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to the CPA committee meeting. I need a motion. Oh, our general motioner isn't here anymore. Jay had to bow out this evening. So I need a motion to approve the minutes of February 24th, please.
So moved.
I second.
Somebody second. Motion and second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jamie?
Sorry, who seconded that?
John Brunner?
Thank you.
Somebody's echoing.
I think it's Harry. I'm going to mute Harry. If you don't mind, you can just unmute yourself when you have something to say. Is that better?
Yeah, I guess. Is Harry you calling in, or? I guess he is.
Okay. So the motion, let's see, Andy is absent. Dan Rist.
Yes.
Greg.
I got a motion. I got a bit of an extra here. Andy absent.
Sorry, keep muting Harry. There's feedback coming in from.
We got feedback from you, Harry. We don't know why.
Greg, that was in favor?
I abstain. I think I wasn't here last meeting.
Okay. Jay's not here. Jessica's not here. Joe.
Yes.
I think I wasn't here last meeting.
John.
Yes.
Harry.
Not here.
Harry? Harry, yes or no?
Harry.
He's frozen. Harry, yes or no on the minutes?
Yeah.
He's frozen.
Okay. And Scott.
Yeah.
Scott, you weren't here, were you?
I abstain. I wasn't here. I wasn't there. I'm here.
So we have 5.
4.
No, 4. So we can't approve the minutes this evening. We'll have to do it next meeting. Jamie.
Okay. I'm going to mute you again.
Actually, although I changed it in the charter for the council, motions are approved for committees as a majority of those present and voting. But if you're abstaining, you're not voting. But if it's 4 people, that's a yes. If you look in the charter.
It's different for CPA.
Oh, is that CPA law, you think?
Yeah, it's CPA law
Okay.
that the motions have to be it's a majority of the board, not the board present.
Well, that's the way it is for the city council, and I like that. Okay. So we'll have to vote on these next time.
Okay.
Public speak, anyone here besides persons for the agenda? I see Valley CDC, I see no one else, okay. Communications, I have a biggie. This is our last Zoom meeting. On April 21st, we will be meeting in conference room 1. Now, it will be hybrid in that there will be a Zoom link for people to see it, but I'd like all members to be present. Until July 15th, you're allowed not to be present, but that should only be if you're ill or in Jamaica, in which case, why the hell would you be going to the meeting? But anyway, April 21st, 6:15 in conference room 1. The city council is going back April 6th, full, so you all know that. I don't know about other committees, but the CPA committee will be meeting in person. Okay, everybody okay with that?
Hey, Dan,
so.
are we able to move the time back to 6:30 since we're going back to in person also? It's
Who's
hard for me to
asking that?
it's hard for me to make the earlier time.
Who's asking that, Greg?
It's Greg, yeah.
Okay, sure, we can make it 6:30.
Thank you.
6:30 then, Jamie, for the next meeting. Okay. And I have to pass that along to the other members. I wanted to update you on the CPA approval of the Ward Avenue purchase for the extension to the bike path. We did get, I think you all saw that the Safe Roads grant was given to us. What was that, 1.5 million or something? That would allow the expansion of the city sidewalk all the way up to the new school from Ward Avenue. But at this writing, it appears that Williston is buying the entire property and moving that company out of town. They're actually helping them. So we are waiting on whether or not they will give us an easement or whether we'll have to take it. It is going to happen because it's in the public's interest to have it happen. But I wanted you all to know that there's going to be a little brouhaha over that, I'm afraid. But I know how all of you were hoping we can get that extension to the bike path, as I am, because that just makes it possible for people all the way in New City to ride their bikes all the way to the school. Right, Scott? It's fantastic. So we definitely want that to happen. I'll keep you updated. It is in front of the council now, simply to have the money for the purchase, but we don't know where it's going from there. It doesn't look like we're going to be purchasing it outright because Williston made a better offer, I guess. Do we have anybody care to hear about account balances and open projects? I don't need to, but any updates, Jamie, along those lines?
It's nothing that's not in the count in the spreadsheet that I sent out to everyone. So
Does everybody
bottom line number is about 1,088,000 in undesignated, and then about 100,000 in affordable housing, historic preservation, and 5,000 in open space.
And then that'll be less than 137 for the ward project that has.
That includes that
Okay.
in my sort of estimated number.
Okay. So we do it. I apologize. Okay, if there's no questions, we'll move on to the. I'm sorry, I have a little acid reflux problem. The Valley CDC proposal, we got it last month. Just to refresh everybody's mind, anybody that wasn't here, the proposal, which is also deals with this Easthampton Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership as well. They're requesting $156,000, and I'm going to let the Valley see. I know some people weren't here last month, so before we move to approve it, I'm going to let Donna or Alexis, who wants to brief, Scott and Greg weren't here. Can you brief them on what this is about?
Sure.
Who wants to do it? Donna?
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. So I'm sure you've had a chance to review the proposal, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. But it is a financial literacy and a housing stability program. Our goal is to educate, counsel, and help folks to deal with their financial and housing situations to better withstand hardships, emergencies, inflation, like what we're going through right now. And ultimately, hopefully some folks take steps towards home ownership in this difficult market. So we are going to be meeting with folks, doing a full financial review with them, trying to teach them some tools to use some electronic tools to track and plan and save and work on budgets that include savings, whether that's for home ownership or emergencies or home repairs. But, folks are really struggling right now, and people really need to people need help, you know, with their finances. People just, you know, they need help. So, you know, it's going to include a lot of different things for a lot of different households. Some folks will need to reduce debt. Maybe they want to refinance and take advantage of the lower rates, but they just don't even know or understand what the debt to income ratios the bank's looking for. And some people are even really insecure about just walking into a regular banking institution, and we certainly don't want them going online. So it's going to be a combination of an education and counseling program to help folks plan, save, and set some goals for home repairs, home purchases, taking a better rental unit, reducing their debt, planning and saving, and really tracking expenses and learning some electronic tools for these activities. You know, most people don't save for emergencies. They just kind of deal with it when it comes. And the program is really going to help people try to look at things a little bit differently, to plan and save for things they might want or need or emergencies that come up. And we do have three $25,000 down payment assistance mortgage subsidy loans in this proposal. So 75,000 of the proposal is for down payment assistance. We hope to help three households purchase a home. And folks, you know, these are folks below 100% of the area median income. And you know, some people will decide that home ownership is really not right for them. Maybe it's due to affordability or managing the maintenance and repairs. But you know, rents are increasing probably faster than I know people see the crazy house prices and the overbidding, but rents are really going out of control as well. And people need to take steps to, you know, figure out how are they going to survive this? How are they going to manage to not be cost burden in their housing moving forward, and what steps can they take to maintain and stabilize their housing situations? Any questions? That was the quick version. I did the longer version last month, I should say.
So you're asking for 156,000 and 232,000 is the total project cost. There is administrative costs in this, but most of the money, as I understand it, is going to people. 75,000 for actual
Yeah.
home ownership mortgages, and
Yes.
the rest is helping and educating, but also helping them with rent relief, say, and things like that.
Right. There's going to be a lot of information and referral services too, to affordable housing, and, you know, helping people maintain their names on waiting lists, because people don't really understand these concepts, and they move and they get bumped off the list, and they're never going to get called, and they wonder why, because, you know, they're not really maintaining their names on the list. It's a lot of different things, and, you know, important things, because, you know, the housing crisis is continuing to grow, and, you know, people are really struggling with housing issues right now.
Absolutely, and anything we can do for affordable housing has my vote. Counselors, some of you saw it last month. Scott and Greg, you didn't see it till now, or hear from people. Do you have any questions? Scott, go ahead.
Scott, hello.
Hey, Alex, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome back to the committee. I guess I missed that last week.
I'll never leave.
There you go. So I apologize for not being here last month, rather. I apologize for not being here then. And I want to thank you for coming now. And I really appreciate the work that Valley CDC does. The big question that I was curious about is how the outreach of this program works, like how it's advertised, where it's advertised.
Sure. So we do outreach all across Western Mass. You know, I will reach out to housing agencies and social service agencies, making them aware that these programs are available for Easthampton residents. That's going to include, like Wayfinders in Springfield, asking them to include it, in their first-time homebuyer webinar materials and things. And we still do on the ground flyering, believe it or not. We go into all the mill buildings and post flyers up on the available bulletin boards there. We have a pretty large email emailing list, and we do send out emails, monthly newsletters, monthly notices of different things going on here at Valley. Those emails go out to about 5,000 contacts, and they're often shared. Somebody might get it and share it with their son or grandson or granddaughter who maybe needs help. They know they're struggling. So those emails get forwarded quite a bit. We have a high rate of those being shared with other folks. And also in our first-time homebuyer education classes where, we're meeting with local people and they're going to tell their friends, hey, they're offering this program. They're willing to meet with you to help you. So it's shared quite a bit. So networking, that kind of network sharing. But we are going to reach out to like social service agencies, ServiceNet, CSO. Oftentimes their employees struggle, and they need help. Larger employers in the area as well. Cook's kind of going out, but the hospital where people in Easthampton might work. We send it off to schools and things too, and we hope they post it. We can never be positive, but we just hope that people share it.
And Donna is
I'm sorry.
sorry, Scott. I was just going to say Donna is pretty notorious in the affordable housing world for having a success rate and really being there for folks. And so part of the outreach is really word of mouth from former folks that Donna's worked with. Like one of her walls in her office is just covered with thank you cards from people that she successfully helped house. So that's a pretty important part of it as well, both Valley's reputation and Donna's reputation.
Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, this funding is for Easthampton residents, correct?
Easthampton residents will be served. Easthampton homeowners, renters, and buyers. However, we may have somebody, who doesn't live in Easthampton yet. We would not bill them under this program, but we would allow them to apply for the down payment assistance funds.
Because they're going to buy in Easthampton.
Right, and
Correct.
they would become a resident with that purchase.
That makes sense.
People want to live in Easthampton, people want to live here. It's a good town. I grew up there. It's a great town.
And that last piece is big for me. With down payment assistance, I think and this has actually come up on this committee a few years ago, but I think one of the great things that can be a part of is trying to address histories of segregation. We have a lot of segregation here in
Right.
Western Massachusetts. And one of the ways that replicates itself is through residency requirements for programs like this. So I would actually, like you said, if someone applies for that, I'd like to see that. It seems like it is advertised wide. I'd like to see that be able to benefit anybody who wants to be able to live in Easthampton, from throughout the Valley.
Yeah, we take a fair housing approach to the marketing of these programs. While I can't meet with Springfield residents for the individual counseling, I will make the referral of where they can live. But, I want folks to come back. Maybe they grew up here and they've just never been able to come back here. We want them to be able to come back. We would like to reach people of color, Hispanic folks, Asian folks, minority households, underserved populations. We're gonna meet and talk with 3 agencies in the greater Springfield area, at least 2 in Holyoke. These are housing agencies that actually have buyers who are trying to buy, to let them know that these programs are available. Across Western Mass, even in the Berkshires, we'll be reaching out to some housing counselors over there to try to get on their PowerPoint for their class, get my contact information on the PowerPoint so that people have this opportunity.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Greg, is that your hand? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for coming and for this proposal. I just was looking at the budget and had a couple questions related. I guess first off, and I apologize, 'cause I wasn't at last meeting and so forth. So this is a initiative that has been ongoing, or it's something that is just launching right now, just so I'm clear on that.
A little, I would say a little of both. We've kind of done this. We've done this in the past. Historically with Easthampton, we would love to do it every 3 years or so. But we have done this in the past. I've worked with Jamie on this in the past. We were funded through CPA. I want to say 2017 or so, that we had a very similar program. They were $15,000 mortgage subsidies. And we dispersed them all, and it was a successful program. The housing market wasn't as crazy as it is right now. This is going to be a tough program. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's going to be a hard program because this market is just, a little, for the renters, for the buyers, it's just a little crazy.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there's a
done
lot of pressure in the market, and I can imagine that will be meaningful for some people who are trying to become first-time home buyers.
Right, absolutely.
It will still be challenging, I imagine, for those people, given,
And we've done other programs in the past. We've done CDBG programs with the city of Easthampton, going back a couple decades anyway.
So when I'm looking at the budget, then is this like a portion? You're the home ownership coordinator, is that right? This is like a portion of your. Is this like an estimate of your time that is devoted to these particular?
Yeah, and Greg, just to note too, this is an 18-month period, not a 12-month period too for the budget.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and it is staff intense, it is a staff intense program, between the marketing and working with folks and follow-up, we have to do a lot of follow-up. We really need to, we really need to engage people so that they don't drop off. We want them to stick with us. It's not a one and done type thing. This type of financial counseling is not a one and done. People really need to work at it. They need a cheerleader. They need, they need to spend a great deal of time on this. It just doesn't work in one meeting in most cases for most folks.
And then just to get a sense, so the indirect and overhead costs of $20,000, that's just going to underwrite overall expenses at Valley CDC, is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, it includes a lot of things, computer software, marketing, materials, copying, printing, paying
we pay rent. Yep. It's
rent,
like the cost of doing business.
Paying the auditors, all kinds of different expenses that are in there.
So as a finance guy, I'm of mixed mind about this because I think it's very smart to cover your ongoing administrative overhead for, when you're applying for a grant, and we don't always see that. So I just want to kind of give you kudos for that. And on some level, I'm like thinking about how taxpayers are funding nonprofits in our area and how I feel about, I guess, the CPA dollars going to pay for sort of just administrative nonprofit costs, when I'm sure there are other nonprofits in, Easthampton that are, or in the area that are not subsidized. So I figured I would just sort of talk freely on that for a second. But I mean, I'm supportive of the grant, and I just wanted to make sure I understood the budget in full. So thank you for your proposal, and I'm generally supportive of it.
We appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
My only comment on that, Greg, is that this particular nonprofit is targeting something the CPA really needs, and that's affordable housing for our residents. So I do believe that having the administrative costs in there is better than getting a bill later. Although I don't think I would ever pass a grant like this without knowing what the CDC's costs are. Anyway, Joe.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I mean, as I say, I think it's a smart. I mean, we don't always see it, and I wonder sometimes for folks that do apply, there are extraneous costs that they have to cover, even just in administrating the CPA grant. So anyhow, yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thanks.
Greg, there are, like, as you, I'm sure know, that there's a lot of different ways to do budgeting, and there is this myth among nonprofits that thankfully is going away about how high your overhead percentage should be. And for a long time, anything over like 5 or 10% was considered like gross and like misuse of public funds. But really what that meant was that there was like colossal turnover at nonprofits because nobody was paid a living wage and nobody had benefits, and it just did a disservice to the entire industry. So I, as the executive director of the organization and as somebody who's only worked for nonprofits in my 25 years of career, feel pretty strongly that folks at Valley and anywhere I've worked are doing really important and strong work. And we need to make sure that we're covering our costs, so because we want to stay in business. Like, there's still work to be done, and it's important work, and we are some of the few folks in the Valley who do it. So I hear what you're saying, and I wish that more nonprofits, quite honestly, included their indirect and overhead expenses when they ask for grant funding.
Yeah, I think everything that I've seen points to increasing costs for things like human resources and IT, and especially with data security and other kinds of, just hacks and other, I mean, it's like these costs are important for protecting the people that are in your program, and they're important for your employees, they're important for every nonprofit, and I think they're underfunded. They tend to be underfunded, and for many of the reasons that you just pointed out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'd like to get back to Joe McCoy. He's asked a question.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Yeah, Jamie, I don't know if you know from the 2017 how many, I don't know if individuals or families took advantage of this program, and then after the 18th month, would we get data, or the city or the planner or somebody get data back as far as how many people participated, or either people or whatever?
So when we ran the program in 2017 with the CPA funds, Donna provided me with regular reports on the program, how many people she had met with, anonymized information about clients, their ethnicity, social, economic status, whether or not they were, how they got into the program, whether or not they were part of the first time homebuyer series that was being run, whether or not they were actually being counseled to purchase or being counseled for other reasons. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I can pull it up. And let's see, if you give me a second.
Well, it sounds like you do get that information as far as, so after 18 months, we would know how many Easthampton people or families took advantage of the program and stuff.
I wouldn't mind a report, say every 6 months, Donna. Is that hard?
I think that
how it's going.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Just send that to Jamie. That would be great. But at the end of the program, is that part of the contract, Jamie, that we're going to get a report on how it's used?
That's the way the grant agreements typically go, is that we ask for regular updates, and Valley CDC has historically, Donna has historically provided them. So I have high confidence that if we put that in the grant agreement, we will get those reports. We do.
We're not certified. We have to track all of this data.
Yeah, I know, and you have a great.
No, we don't have any of their money. We have to track it.
So.
Well, Jamie, if you find how we did in 2017, you could send that email to the members. You don't have
to look forward to, Jamie.
So I can give you. I just pulled up the last tracking sheet that was sent over. It was about 42. It looks like different people who were funded for this, or used those Easthampton funds as part of the program. Only 5 actually used the mortgage subsidy. The rest were just counseled as part of what Donna was describing for this program.
We only worked with buyers that
right. So I was going to say,
it was just buyers. We weren't offering any services to renters or homeowners at the time.
Right. And so this program is a little bit different this time around, because the need in the city is a little bit different, and we have, through CPA funds and other grants, we've been able to target affordable, we're trying to do create affordable housing. And this program would not just help existing homeowners with, or sorry, not just new first-time home buyers, but it would help with existing homeowners with the financial counseling and things like that Donna was talking about. So it is needed, and it fills a gap in the city's services.
Right, and it can prepare renters too for future increased costs and to be ready when those units are available, that they might be able to take advantage of by having their finances in order and their credit in order. It's becoming more and more important. There's not many private landlords anymore that don't run credit checks and things like that. People are just being very diligent about who they rent to. So it's important for every housing type.
Very good point. Any other questions? I don't see any hands. Since this is the second time we've talked about this, I'd like to have a motion to approve it. The amount is $156,130 for the Valley Community Development for this program. Someone make that motion.
So moved. Since you said the number.
Jamie, I'll have the number in the minutes.
A second.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve the 106. John.
I second.
Okay, I forget who's. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jamie?
Joe.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Harry.
Harry, are you hearing us, Harry? You're muted, Harry. Just shake your head yes or no. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, I think that was a yes. Was that a yes, Harry? He's smiling. Must have been a yes. We have to get a program to get Harry better internet. All right, the motion's been approved. And Valley CDC, you should know that this will go to the council for the April 6th meeting. And that's in 2 weeks, so that, excuse me, 3 weeks because of an extra week in the month. So at that time, it'll be sent to Finance Committee, and I will always approve it for the second meeting in April. That meeting, you don't have to attend the April 6th meeting. It's just going to go to committee. You will be asked to attend the Finance Committee meeting. That'll probably still be a remote meeting. We're not going to put committees into in-person yet in the council for a little while. But the full council meeting on April 16th, April 13th, April 20th, I think it is, you'll be asked to attend. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Members,
time.
that concludes the agenda. I have nothing else except to remind you we're in person next meeting in April.
Great.
Thank you all. I hope you all have a, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Jamie?
Joe.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
And Harry.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg, for that ventriloquism. Nice seeing you guys. I'll see you next time
See ya.
in person. 6:30.
Thanks, Dan.
Jamie?
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.